Right now, I'd like to have a special welcome to all of those who are new to the Crimson Circle. I'd like to point out a couple things for your benefit, but also for the benefit of Shaumbra, the ones that have been around for a while. It's not an official, formal title. You don't get a certificate saying you're Shaumbra. You're self-appointed. You just realize one day, I am part of this group, Shaumbra. No membership dues, no fees, very few rules, and that bothers some people. They want to have a lot of rules. We just don't have them. I am Adamus, and I open up by saying of sovereign domain. That means I'm an ascended master. When you are in your sovereign house, it means you're beholden to nobody or nothing. You are your own one. And it's really the definition of being an ascended master, being in your sovereign domain. You are free. You are free to be all that you are, your past, your present, your future, your soul, your humanness. You're free to do all. I come from the beloved Saint-Germain. I am an act of consciousness of Saint-Germain. I come to Shaumbra as Saint-Germain because I don't want there to be confusion between the Saint-Germain of bygone eras. Saint-Germain that was particularly channeled by Guy Ballard many decades ago. Or some of the ones that channel Saint-Germain now. Some are actually real, some not as real. But I want to establish clear lines because the work that Saint-Germain, that I do with Crimson Circle, is very specific. It's very much about going from awakening into realization and staying on the planet. That journey from awakening to realization is long, it's arduous, it's challenging, as so many of you know, and you're probably nodding your head, yes, challenging. What we're doing here with the Crimson Circle is giving people guidelines. We're giving them support and encouragement. You, Shaumbra, who have been here a while, have laid out a history, your stories, to help others when they're going through those challenging moments, when they're not sure if they want to stay or they want to leave, when they're not sure of what is reality anymore. Your stories are helping them as they go along their journey. They'll do it in their own way, at their own pace, but to have your stories is going to be sacred for them. So I come as Adamus. I've asked that no others channel Adamus, not that it is proprietary for any sort of business purpose for Crimson Circle. It is about, I do not want a confusion in the message. I don't want any other messengers other than Cauldre and accompanied by dear Linda of Isa. I don't want there to be confusion. There's a tremendous responsibility on them, on the Crimson Circle staff, and on Shaumbra to not get this muddled, to not confuse others by multiple messages. I want a very clear message, and when that message is delivered, when we're done with building this library of shouds and information, then it'll be my time to semi-retire. About 2025. I'll come back from time to time to talk to Shaumbra, of course, to entertain you, make you laugh like I always do. Sometimes to give you a gentle nudge and sometimes a swift kick in the backside. But at that point, we're going to have accomplished what we did at the very beginning of Crimson Circle to create the energetic library for all others who will come by way of their awakening into their realization and stay on the planet as embodied masters. As soon as I started working with Cauldre, the one you call Jeffrey, I know him as Cauldre. It's hard to break that habit. Jeffrey doesn't sound quite right for him. As soon as I started working with him, from the very first time after Tobias left, I said, you must open your eyes. You must. And it was quite a struggle. He didn't want to open his eyes. He didn't want to see all the people staring. But Cauldre, they're not staring at you. They're staring at me. And I'm fine with that. So open your eyes. Let's be real about this. Well, let's not sit there with closed eyes off in la-la land somewhere. I want this to be grounded. I want it to be very real. Once he got a little bit used to that, although he still complains about it, Then I said, we're going to walk around. We're going to walk and talk. When we have audiences of Shaumbra, I want to engage with them. I want to feel them, and more than anything, I want them to feel me. We're not going to sit here on a chair with eyes closed off in some other dimension. I am right here with you, as well as you right here with me in this now moment, but also expanded into the other realms. This word that you hear, Shaumbra, Tobias first talked about it. It comes from an old term used thousands of years ago in the time of Christ, of Yeshua. It was a group that gathered together on occasion. They met secretly, privately. Many of them had backgrounds from the Essenes. And what Shaumbra meant at the time was family of strength. Shaumbra, family of strength, or also known as family of the rock. This group has gotten back together again in this lifetime. They came with a call of Tobias in 1999 and 2000 from all around the world. They came, took no effort. There wasn't some big outreach program. There was no evangelizing. There was no marketing, nothing. They found their way to this group because they know there was work to do here on the planet. They took on the name Shaumbra as their own. It wasn't something, the guideline from Crimson Circle. They identified as Shaumbra. And here we are today, thousands of years later. Here we are for the culmination of the very work that was done thousands of years ago, planting the seeds of divinity into the consciousness or mass consciousness of the planet, into the earth itself. And here we are now. Now, this group Shaumbra, they're a rebel group. I wasn't quite so sure if I even wanted to work with this group after Tobias left. Rebels, they don't do homework. They cuss and they swear. They call themselves pirates. And I thought to myself, here I am, an ascended master, kind of retired into my own sovereign domain. Why would I want to take on this group? And the reason was simple, because they were absolutely dedicated to being here on the planet, to coming to their own realization, what some of you call enlightenment. They were dedicated to staying on the planet then, as embodied masters, to radiate their light, their consciousness onto the planet at this most critical and epic time. They're not an easy group to work with. I'm talking to the new ones now. I'm just giving them a heads up. They're not the easiest group. They're rebels. They don't. You give them a rule and they'll tear it up. You tell them what they have to do and they'll do just the opposite. You ask them to do homework, they'll go out drinking instead. This group, just to be forewarned, they drink coffee. A lot of them drink coffee. They drink wine and other things as well. This group swears. They say words like shit and fuck. And if that bothers you, this is not the right place, because I do too. There's no negative connotations, and somebody might say, oh, how can an Ascended Master swear? Well, fuck. We all swear at the Ascended Masters Club because it doesn't have the spin on it that humans associate with. Oh, we're not some holy, pious, we're not a bunch of popes sitting around in heaven. We came the hard way to our own realization. Every one of us struggled and suffered. We have the right to say fuck when we want to say fuck, because that's what we were when we were going through our realization, so often feeling absolutely fucked. So it doesn't bother me to say it one bit. If it bothers you, this is not the right place at all. But if you are absolutely dedicated to your realization, not about saving the planet, that we got a different way of doing that. If you are absolutely dedicated to your realization, without machio, it means spiritual bullshit, spiritual distraction, and that's what happens to everyone that comes out of awakening on their way to realization. They get distracted. I got distracted. Linda got distracted. Caldera definitely got distracted. It happens. And then you realize that's a bunch of machio. Machio distractions, things like certain healing practices, or that you have to meditate or do prayers or do volunteer work or do long trances or sweat lodges, anything that is a distraction, because there's only one thing. It's about returning back to yourself, being realized here on the planet. How do you do that? How do you become realized? You understand that it is a natural process that happens. It's already happening. At the soul levels, all the movement is there, everything. It's only for you as the human to allow it. It's your one job, allowing a natural process. The moment you start tinkering with it, with these, with Makyo, the moment you start thinking that you have to wear magnets in your shoes, or you have to wear a certain type of hat, or that you have to be a vegan or a vegetarian, and if you are, that's fine, but if you think you have to as part of your realization, that is Makyo, and we call it in the Crimson Circle. Shaumbra will call each other on the Makyo. I'm happy to call it when I see it, because it's a distraction, and it's easy to get distracted for 2, 3, 4, 5 lifetimes with Makyo. There is one thing to do. Once you say no more to the old cycles of incarnation, the old cycles of karma, once you say no more, everything else starts to move in the other levels of your soul. It's up to you, the human, to experience it and to allow it. Dear human, it's not up to you to do realization, not whatsoever. If it was up to you, you would probably still keep just experiencing, because that's what the human does. It is the experiential division of your soul. That's that part of your soul that came to earth, that took on a body, that's here to experience. That's the human's responsibility. And if realization was up to you, you'd just continue to experience what it was like trying to find realization and never get there. Now, it's really about allowing a natural process to take place and letting yourself experience each and every day to its fullest. The bad days, the good days, all days. Allow yourself to experience without pushing it aside, without saying, I don't like this, I don't like that. This, what you're going through right now, is the most beautiful thing, and you'll never do it again. You'll never come back this way. You'll never do it again. Let yourself experience it through the difficulties and challenges. That makes great stories for later. Let yourself experience the joy of it. Let yourself experience what it's like to let go of what you would call the expectations of going into realization. Experience it, and suddenly, when you're allowing and experiencing, the friction stops. Friction's the thing that makes it so difficult, that wears you out. You're overthinking this. You're trying to humanize a process that cannot be done by the human. Have trust in the soul. It already knows. It's already there, helping you to come to your realization. But when you insist on doing it yourself, when you're saying, oh, I've got all these steps and processes, and I can't drink coffee anymore, and I can't wear underwear anymore because, masters don't do that. The soul simply steps back and says, whatever, come back when you're ready, whatever. So back to Shaumbra. It's a gritty group. It's a tough group to work with, but I never had so much fun in all my eternalness as an ascended master as working with this group.